What's up, guys? Isaac the Morse Warrior here to bring you sort of an announcement. Maybe, kinda, I don't know. Some of you guys know about this already. But to those of you that don't know about this, there's a new sort of project that I'm working on. That I'm pretty blessed and excited about. Now, as I have been surviving this miracle of a year known as 2020, as I've been surviving the riots and the coronavirus and all this sort of stuff that's been going on this year, one positive thing that I can say about this year is that the extra time at home has given me a lot of time to pursue and work on some more personal projects that I've been working on. And it was either last year or the month before that this idea kind of came in my head. As I was praying to God one night, and but at the start of this month in September, I have officially started to pursue it, and I'm been working very, very hard recently. And what that is I started to write a book. It's not a storybook. It's not it's not the autobiography of the worship warrior Isaac Fogel. No, it's kind of a fictional story. It's kind of a novel, I think. But it's more spiritual, and it's a faith-based story. I'm gonna write it down on paper first. But the other exciting thing is I've recently created a Wattpad account. Now, for Wattpad, for those of you that don't know what it is, it's essentially this app, but it's also a website where people share and publish their fan fictions, books they wrote in school, personal story so it's kind of like a library of on the internet. Kind of, I don't know what to call it really. I'm kind of bad with these names, but but yeah. But once I completed chapter on paper in my notebook, then I'm gonna type it up. I'm gonna publish it to Wattpad for the entire world to read. So I'm pretty excited about that. And I'm also kind of nervous, but we'll see where it goes. Now, what is the story about? So the title of the book is Beauty from the Ashes. And it's about this girl named Cheyenne Mitchell. And basically, she grew up in she grew up in a Christian household, and her parents are the pastors of a Seventh-day Adventist church. She's lived with them. She's grown up as a Christian from baby age all the way to 17 years old. And then one day, she runs into some particular friends who they influence her into going down a certain path of life. And it actually ends up with Cheyenne essentially becoming a porn star. And she becomes a stripper. She films all these porn scenes with her friends. And she does all this other stuff with drugs, alcohol, stuff like that. That it starts at 17, and it's not until she turns 21 that her parents find out what's going on. And when they do find out about it, she's offered this role for one of the major adult industries, and she ultimately has a choice on whether she's going to pursue that lifestyle or if she's going to stay with her family as they are they are insistent on getting help for their daughter by sending her to an institution, which is essentially a rehab place, kind of. But then basically. Oh, by the way, spoilers. There's gonna be some mild spoilers in here, but this is basically the synopsis, so it's the basic plot lines. But at the end of the choice, she actually chooses to run away from her family in the middle of the night. She steals a car, and she decides to drive all the way to this adult studio to start pursuing this life. But then while she's on the drive, something happens. She gets into a car crash, and it's not very good. And, like, her body's in critical condition, and after these guys who are coming back from a camping trip, they find her on the road, and they bring her body to a hospital. What they don't realize is, while her body is being walked in a hospital, Cheyenne's spirit is actually no longer of this world. And that is because when Cheyenne wakes up, she's in hell. And she gets tortured, and she witnesses firsthand the consequences and the outcomes of the choices she's made over the 4 years. And blah blah blah, she gets tortured, she encounters Satan, all this stuff. And when she starts to accept that what's happening to her is permanent, and that there's no going back, by the time she accepts this reality, she is miraculously given a second chance by God. And she gets rescued, and she wakes up back in the world, and she starts a new life with the guys who have found her, who just so happen to be leaders of a youth group, and they're Christians themselves, who they're definitely less strict than the parents she's grown up with, which in some ways is going to be helpful for her. But here's the thing. So because it's God who saves her from hell, she basically now believes that God actually exists. And I say that because while she's working with the friends who are working with her as a porn star, they kind of led her to believe that she was an atheist and that God doesn't exist. But when this happens, all that's pretty much turned around. But the problem is, because she's went to hell, and because she knows all these things about hell and what happens to us on the other side with these sins, she believes these certain things about herself, and she doesn't believe that she's worthy to even call herself a believer. And so she won't choose to accept God straight away because she doesn't feel like she deserves to. And so, as she goes on with her life, she's trying to run away and completely move on from the lifestyle she previously had, which is going to be a problem because, as some of you know, as a lot of us know, careers like this, they're not easy to hide when they're all over the internet. And so when certain people find this out, there's going to be some complications, might I say. But so she has to go through all these struggles, and she's trying to figure out who she really is apart from this lifestyle. And in the middle of all this, like, as she goes on, she's trying to figure out why God gave her this second chance in an outcome where, in the end, is somewhere that most people are not going to get a second chance. Yes. And I believe that's as far as I can tell you guys without giving too much spoilers. Now, of course, because of the details I mentioned, this story is going to be a little more mature than most Christian stories you're probably used to seeing. Some of the events that happened are going to be more adult oriented, and I'm going to try to keep them as brief as much as I possibly can. And there's going to be enough information to imply what's about to happen, but whenever it's something like that involves a sexual scene, I'm going to give enough information to where it's not overly explicit and it's not painting like complete images in your head. But it's not going to be completely sugar-coated, which is something I want to avoid. But so it's going to be more adult. There might be some certain languages that it's sensitive to. That's a fair warning. There's going to be a couple of specific chapters where the violence is pretty graphic. And of course, and this is pretty much to be expected, there's going to be certain things in this story that not every Christian is going to accept, that not every church is going to agree with. And that's fine. But to me, this is something that God's been encouraging me to write about. It's something that a lot of my friends and even my own passion in real life are heavily supportive about, and they see the potential for this, which is good because with a lot of the mainstream stories and the movies that we have in the Christian media, like, they're not specifically bad, but to me, they do have a number of specific problems that have given them kind of a bad reputation. And, they're kind of small in the grand scheme of things. I just believe that, we as Christians, we deserve stories that aren't afraid to take, more of a risk. Like stories that aren't afraid to break certain stereotypes that we have. Stories that, actually, talk about the love, the power, and the forgiveness of Christ, rather than focusing on, challenge and, persecution and, stereotyping non-believers and atheists and all that stuff, blah, 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 blah. Because the reality is even though she starts out kind of as an atheist in the book, and she does all these things, what she does not, at least in my opinion, that's not enough to make her a bad person. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not gonna, and I won't deny myself, there's certain things that I've done in my life that are not entirely the same, but I have committed certain sins in my life that are sort of similar to this. Yes. And because I've experienced them, and because I have a little bit of experience in dealing with them, that might sort of help me, give more to, showing what struggle that C is going to go through when she has to move on from this stuff, and she has to try to grow from them. And honestly, I'm not sure what else to say besides this, without starting to ramble, or without going too much into spoilers, but yeah. So it's called Beauty from the Ashes, and to make a long story short, it's about a girl named Cyan Mitchell. It starts out as pastor's daughter. She starts out as a Christian until one day, oh no! She starts to get involved into a new life. And 4 years later, she gets into a car crash. She experiences some stuff, and she has to rediscover herself and try and see if she can do these things on her own, or or if it's gonna come to a point where she has to accept God and Jesus, in order to help her go through this. And then I'm gonna start writing this on paper, but I'm also gonna share this to my Wattpad account, with the prologue for this book, which is actually gonna take place, more than halfway through the actual book. So certain things in that prologue, there are gonna be some certain clues on things that are gonna happen, and it'll kind of give you an idea on where she ends up in life, but you'll have to find out how she gets there with the other chapters. But the prologue has been published to Wattpad, and I will post a link down in the description for you guys to read it. So check it out. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Let me know if there's any ideas down in the comments, or like the comments of this video, or the comments on Wattpad on ideas that you might want me to include, on some specific advice or criticisms that you have for me. Share what you want. I will respond, and I will check them out. And yeah, it's a new book I'm writing, and I'm pretty excited about it. And of course, it's gonna take me some time. As I'm still trying to figure out like how everything is gonna go. But yeah, I don't know what else to say other than that. So that's probably for this video. It's kind of because I'm not sure how the picture's gonna look, how the lighting's gonna look, because I'm kind of in a garage rather than inside of my house outside the door. But yeah. So that's all for this time, and I'll see you guys next time. And peace out. So check out the story in the link below. Let me know your thoughts and follow me through the journey. And yeah.